We have a team battle. DS going up against RT. Suguha using Oracle Think Tank going up against Pirate Weasel, who's using Revengers. Shadow Paladin. This is 4v4, normal format, so neither of these players are staying, win or lose. We have, Suga starts with an early Silent Tom, which is actually good because his opponent can't go up with 0, so. Huh. Is there a discrepancy? I think Pirate Weasel is saying that empty blank space right there was supposed to say no guard. I didn't realize you could have an empty blank space without the person's name there. Interesting. So Weasel isn't guarding. Check is a lemonade that can be used later. Since this isn't the Cocoa variant, he actually will have 2 soul by the time he gets to grade 3. Which is about the time we'll be using Counterblast anyway. Mac Cart ridden. Since he's up against an 8K, this is a 1 pass. And a draw trigger appears. Sometimes it's just not worth the guard if you're only going to use 1 unit. Especially because he uses Legion, he could have just used 2 units and made it a no pass. Ride Susanoo, but he can't stride this turn because his opponent's at grade 2. So he just goes for the attack. No guard gets a critical trigger. And a perfect guard. So rides Mordred Phantom and does stride. This way he'll get a triple drive check, and because his Vanguard still has Phantom in the name, if it hits Judge Battle Revenger, will go off. Suguha no guards, which in my opinion is actually the better option in this situation. Because trying to guard it actually minuses yourself more than it helps you. And Pirate Weasel brings out the Swordbreaker Angels, gets the Soul Blast and draw for each of them. But since they aren't Revengers, that isn't going to mean much in the grand scheme of things. So Suga draws for his turn. And he now does have the ability to stride, and is doing it. Discard the Susanoo, and it's going to bring out Quilla. And with Susanoo's skill, you can counterblast 1. Check the top 2. Add 1 of these 2 to hand. Chooses a Mina Murakumo, which is a good way for him to get stride for the next turn, or just have a booster if he needs it. Now, if he wants to take out Pirate Weasel's hand, he's going to have to call more units. He's using Shrine Guard, Hahiki's skill, which counterblast one, put into the soul, look at your top two, one goes to hand, one goes to bottom of deck. Puts the Silent Tom in hand. And keep in mind, he also has Battle Sister Lemonade in hand, which he can play behind the Vanguard and Soul Blast 2 in order to unflip 2. If he so chooses to do that. Which actually wouldn't be a bad idea because he could Soul Blast the Perfect Guard and use it for Legion later because this Uhirume is a sign that he does have that option, that he does have the Legion option. Attacks with Kurokazuchi first, counterblast 1 to draw. So if that was a drive trigger, he missed the chance of getting it in the drive check. Of course, I'll never know because it was drawn. First check is Tom, second check is Orihime, and third is a heal trigger, so we can heal the counterblasted damage. And now Quilla's skill, which he didn't activate, it's forced. Yeah. One sec. Sorry about that. I had to tell Suguha that he forgot to do Quilla's skill. Meanwhile, a break ride happened. Pirate Weasel. Break Road into Phantom Blaster Abyss. Legions into Blaster Dark Abyss. And his field has high power. So he's using Quilla's skill because I actually went out of my way and said he forgot to do Quilla's skill, and Quilla's skill is forced. It doesn't say may. When it hits, look at the top two, put one in hand, and the other goes to the bottom of the deck. I see a lot of people forgetting to do that, and it's technically cheating to not do it, because it is a mandatory skill. So his first attack is attacking for 20k because extra 5k on mana. And apparently Suguha did not look at the chat window. Because he guarded as if that was actually 26 and it was only 20. So this is hitting for 42k. No guards and gets critical triggered. Stand trigger and the damage. Helpful for him. And critical trigger. This is going to really help his guard. So 32k, he's at 21. So with two grade zeros, he could 2 pass, or he could just drop the perfect guard and say screw all of that. Not a bad decision. Drops Tom for the perfect guard. That, in my opinion, that's not the best idea, but he did it. Then again, he might have another Silent Tom in hand, for all I know. So he has options. He drove check an Orihime. He can use it to stride, or he could ride it in Legion to get some of those triggers back in deck. Decides to go with the stride option. Brings out Taka Mikazuchi. And with Takamikazuchi, he's going to do Susanoo's skill first, counterblast and check the top two. Gets the CEO in hand and puts the critical trigger on the bottom. Pirate Weasel says 4 cards, but he wasn't doing that skill. Now Stride skill checks the 4 cards. And then 2 go to hand. He got a Silent Time and a Gemini. He also got the draw trick. He also got the stand trigger. Gets Tom first. And the Gemini. He's not really using it to get defense. And he's putting the triggers back on the bottom of the deck. Not a horribly bad idea, but definitely odd, to say the least. That Takamikazuchi needs a booster. And he just got a Gemini in the hand. He needs to put it there. And he's not. His first attack is at the rear guard. Can't counterblast one to draw one, but it makes it so that these Tom's attack or any others can't be intercepted. Perfect guard's the Vanguard. Lemonade. Perfect guard. And stand trigger. So this can go for the Vanguard, but he can't counterblast one and draw because it's not boosted. Only takes a 5k guard, and now this is going to take a 10k guard, the Silent Tom column. And he just takes it and gets a draw trigger. The hands and damage are nearly even. Pirate Weasel activates Stride. Trying to generate offense at this point. 34 to the Vanguard. Suguha did get a perfect guard, so he has defenses. Drops Gemini for it. And heal trigger appears. Goes straight for Silent Tom. It's not worth a guard. And 15 to the Vanguard. 5k block. And he uses a heal trigger. If I was him, actually, I'd call that heal trigger the rear guard. So that I can return to the deck and shuffle. Because he's putting a lot of triggers at the bottom of the deck. A lot of triggers that he's not going to be seeing for a while. Unless he's working on a pseudo Tsukuyomi stack. He's much better not doing that than doing it. It might just be me, but it also seems like he's trying really hard to keep his grade 3s in hand for the sake of Stride. Even at the cost of other, technically better moves. Amina Murakumo should go to hand. And it goes to the bottom of the deck instead. And CEO went to hand. That confuses me. I think he's doing it so that he gets the grade 3s out of deck. And he made a slight misplay. He doesn't have enough soul in order to do Lemonade. And he did not check that. Or maybe he didn't want to do Lemonade. Maybe he just wanted the booster. Which in that case, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Silent Tom to the rear guard as well. If a critical trigger appears, he can give the critical to Tom and potentially end this. Starts with the Blaster Dark again. Get rid of the interceptors. Although to be fair, he's giving his opponent the opportunity to call a better unit there. That's a 2 pass. And that's a never pass. Well, actually a no pass because it's not a 3 pass. No triggers come up at all, so Silent Tom can attack, but he'd be giving him 2 counterblast. He's doing it anyway. If Weasel has Phantom Blast or Abyss in hand, he's going to use it. So it's just a matter of, is Suguha ready for that? He could have attacked the rear guard or ended his turn and not had to deal with this. But since that isn't how this ended up, we have to wait and see. First attack is a Silent Tom, not guarded. Second attack is 15 to the Vanguard, intercepted. And the third attack is unboosted. He's going to save the boost for the restand. Which is actually really risky on his part because he's getting rid of his interceptors. So Suguha is thinking of the best way to guard this without using the perfect guard now. And he does. His opponent got a draw trigger. Didn't get a second trigger, and this is 34. Better time to use a perfect guard than before, unless he doesn't have one. Let's get a quick look at the heal triggers. 1, 2, 3. There's still one somewhere in that deck. Meanwhile, 21, 31, 41. That's a 2 pass. He has to give up almost everything just to do it. Heal trigger. And draw trigger. He got it. And the damage is a critical. Good game. There were some things that you can improve upon, Suguha, but you did do a good job. And moving on to the next one.